I definitely think college athletes should be paid. Welcome to episode 19 of Everything Sports with Aman. I'm your host, Aman Carney, and I talk about the hottest topics in sports over the course of the past week. And today, I'm going to be talking about Julio Jones potentially being traded within the next maybe few days or so, or the next week. Best power forwards of all time. Fantasy minute for baseball, and then the problem with NBA fans, and then NCAA making strides to finally pay college athletes. Finally. So now I'm going to talk about Julio Jones potentially being traded next week. And literally over the course of the past week, like I keep saying at the start of every episode, new news keeps coming up. Apparently, Julio Jones requested a trade from Atlanta. And unlike the Packers with Aaron Rodgers, the Falcons are respecting Julio Jones. So, they're shopping him around. And what I think about it is this is exactly how you should treat your stars, especially when they gave everything to an organization. If they want to leave, then they want to leave. That's in the best interest of them, not the organization. Right? So that's that's a small take on it, but I'm still going to continue talking about it for the next minute or two. Seems like Tennessee is actually a long shot, even though AJ Brown is actually advocating for Julio Jones. But this is one way to keep Aaron Rodgers. Trade for Julio Jones, and then you'll have Aaron Jones, um, Avante Adams, Robert Tunyon, Julio Jones, and then Aaron Rodgers will stay if you not pay, trade for Julio Jones, and then give Aaron Rodgers a contract extension. If you want, if you want one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history to stay on your team, this is exactly what you do. If anyone from the Green Bay Packers is somehow listening to this episode, this is exactly what you do. Trade for Julio Jones. You missed out on Will Fuller because you refused to give a second round pick. I don't know what this GM is doing. You have to treat Rodgers with respect because at the end of the day, when, like I said, when a player gives an organization his all and wants to leave, it's in the best interest of him, not the organization. It's down to the athlete's life because it is their life at the end of the day. If they want to change the scenery, they want to change the scenery. Or simply, if they just want to win and be respected by an organization, then that's fine too. Aaron Rodgers, over the course of the past couple years, has been disrespected by the Packers, and he's led them to NFC championship games. And if you think about it, if they drafted a receiver instead of Jordan Love or traded for Will Fuller, they would have been in the Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers, the three plays in a row that he traded, or not traded, passed to Devontae Adams, what else is he supposed to do? Who else is he going to pass to? He doesn't have that second wide receiver. It's just him, Devontae Adams, occasionally Aaron Jones. But now, to get back on topic here, Julio Jones has given Atlanta Saul, regarded as one of the best receivers of all time, which I agree with, and the Falcons are trying to trade for him. Apparently, it was reported that they're discussing between the trade offers that were offered to them. One of them had a first round pick. Honestly, I just think it'll take like a second and a third, or a second and like a medium player, and then or just a first and third round pick. So either a second round pick and a medium to good player, or a first and a third round pick is what I think it'll take to get Julio Jones. Personally, I want to see Julio Jones on the Patriots, Ravens, or Niners. Ravens, they need a passing attack. I already voiced my opinion on how it'll be when or if he goes to the Niners, and then Patriots, they're a Super Bowl contender if they get him. Now they are with everyone they signed, but they're definitely a Super Bowl contender if they trade and get Julio Jones or trade for and get Julio Jones. So now, best power forwards of all time. Over the course of the past couple of weeks, we have discussed the best point guard, the best shooting guard, best small forward. So now this week is the best power forwards of all time. And Tim Duncan is number one. I know what you're thinking, Karl Malone, Charles Barkley, but what separates Tim Duncan from those two is simply the championships. Malone had Stockton and so many others couldn't win. Charles Barkley was Charles Barkley, and he got 11 All NBA selections, 11-time All Star, one-time MVP. Karl Malone, two-time MVP, 14-time All Star, 14-time All NBA selection, and four-time All Defensive Team selection. And then here we go, Tim Duncan, 2 times MVP, 3 times Finals MVP, 15 times All-Star, 15-time All-NBA selection, 15-time All-Defensive Team selection, and he was 1998 Rookie of the Year and 5 rings to back all that up. So now Tim Duncan is the best power forward of all time, and then I'll go with Karl Malone. I just read out his accomplishments. Number 3, Charles Barkley. He got dominated against the Chicago Bulls. Who could blame him? He's going against MJ and everyone. And number 4 is probably my favorite power forward of all time. Doesn't necessarily mean he's the best power forward of all time. So I just want to make that clear. I'm saying my favorite power forward of all time is Dirk Nowitzki. What's there to hate about this man? 1-time MVP, 1-time Finals MVP, 14-time All-Star, 12-time All-NBA selection, all with the same team, and he even got a ring for it. It must feel good to be an athlete that played for one organization their entire life. It makes it easy to raise a family, just everything. And then winning a championship, winning an MVP, going to All-Star, being an All-NBA selection. That's a very, very successful career in terms of playing for one organization your entire career. Brady was already successful with the Patriots, went to Tampa Bay, but there's guys like Brady, Dirk, who like Tim Duncan, who played Kobe, like successful players that played for one organization their entire career and doing all this. And then number 5, I went with Kevin Garnett. Regarded as one of the most intense power forwards ever, definitely one of the best trash talkers. Garnett, obviously 1 ring, 1-time MVP, 15-time All-Star, 9-time All-NBA selection, 12-time All-Defensive Team selection, and 2008's Defensive Player of the Year. And he's only remembered for leading the Celtics to a championship, but many forget that he actually was 1-time MVP of the league. So now with that, we go to Fantasy Minute, where I'll talk about the 5 baseball players you should add if you want to stay at the top of your league or want to rise in the rankings. So without further ado, let's get started. Well, now we got Alex Manoah, starting pitcher for the Toronto Blue Jays. He is 25% rostered. And now they're calling him up. They call him up, so definitely pick him up. Keston Hiura. Sorry if I'm butchering his name. He's a first baseman, second baseman for Milwaukee. And so Milwaukee giving him another chance after doing well in the AAA, but Michael Fulmer, he's a starting pitcher and relief pitcher for Detroit, 40% roster. And so he'll bounce back for sure, I feel like. Enrique Hernandez, he's gotten a hit for like many games in a row now. He's 33% rostered, second baseman, shortstop, outfielder, Boston, and Daniel Bard, relief pitcher for Colorado. He is 30% rostered, so definitely pick him up. This is actually one of the few weeks in Fantasy Minute where there is no San Francisco Giants player. But that's largely due to the fact that the Giants are now doing well, so people are looking for players to add from the Giants, specifically because they're doing so well, even though they struggled against the LA Dodgers. And now we got NBA fans in arenas. The level of disrespect fans towards show players fans show towards players is insane. I get the booing and all that. Even the player said they get the booing. It's just sports, right? But the moment you cross the line, like there's even a video of Russell Westbrook of like he's cussing out fans because they're yelling at him. Like you have to respect these athletes sometime. Why should they play for you if you're doing this? You can boo them, make fun of them on social media. They won't care, but like when you throw, like for example, Russell Westbrook has been disrespected by NBA fans so many times, and now he gets popcorn poured on him when he's going to the locker room because he's injured. Whatever fan, whoever did that, should feel ashamed of himself. You do not pour. First of all, you do not pour popcorn on a player. Second of all, you do not do that to an injured player. Get what I'm saying? This cannot happen. It cannot happen. And then you got Trae Young, obviously now being a villain of New York. On a side note, the Knicks Hawks series is amazing. I love that series so far. And Trae Young getting cussed out by the fans. That's fine and all. That's sports. I mean, it's New York Knicks fans. It's New York fans. Period. That's what you're gonna get in New York. But you don't spit on a player. What is that, man? You don't spit on a player. And then Utah Jazz fans, known for disrespecting Russell Westbrook, now saying racial slurs towards John Morant's family? Are you serious? Like, that's just crossing the line. I don't think NBA can assess any rules on fans to make them not disrespect players. At the end of the day, it is down to the NBA fans themselves to show a bit of class and support these teams because when you're saying these racial slurs, Marcus Smart said it best when Kyrie's like, I hope there's no racial intentions when I return to Boston. But Marcus Smart said it best. When you're directing these racial slurs towards the players, he's like, I get it's opposing team, but you're also insulting the players that you're voting for. Why should these athletes play for you guys if you're not respecting any of them whatsoever? Because the more fans show respect, the more athletes will have less respect for these fans. These fans that they play for, they're not going to have any respect for them. That's my takes. And now I go to NCAA finally making strides towards paying their athletes. And so there is a congressional bill that was introduced yesterday, which would allow college athletes to form unions and be considered employees of their school. So what this means, I'm pretty sure, is that they can finally earn money because you got guys like James Wiseman. I don't think he earned much money, but they suspended him indefinitely from Memphis until he's like, whatever, I'll drop out and focus on the draft. What is James Wiseman supposed to do? Seriously, what is he supposed to do? He wants to get into the NBA. He's playing at a high level, and he can't attend his college. Why? Like, I don't get these reasoning. These colleges don't want their players to get money or to get paid. Now to get paid like I don't really get it because these colleges and the NCAA has so much money that they can give to their athletes. You got John Calipari getting a lifetime contract. A lifetime contract. You mean lifetime contract? A college coach. Players don't even get paid money. And this college coach is getting lifetime contracts when players get suspended for earning money. I have never gotten why NCAA continues to do this. It has to change. This is definitely one step towards it. And I know you guys know who Destroying is on YouTube. Also, check out his channel. I'm not going to link it below because he's not in this episode. But anyways, Destroying, DeeStroying. He had to choose between college and YouTube just because he was blowing up on YouTube. And NCAA didn't like that. He was an athlete getting paid by YouTube. Couldn't follow his dreams of making it to NFL. That in itself is just sad because I definitely think college athletes should be paid. And there's many loopholes people can find, which I understand, but in my opinion, my humble opinion, college athletes should be paid for the simple fact that if they're going to the pros, right, their chances of getting injured may increase a little bit because there's more intensity than college, right? But they're still putting it all out there for college and for their fans and for their own college, like I said. And one of the worst basketball injuries happened in a college game to a college player. So then, if they get injured and they don't have any backup plan for the rest of their life, what do they have to do? They don't have any money to pay for their bills, to pay for whatnot. So, this is exactly why you should pay them. Just because, what if they get injured? What if they suffer a life-threatening injury or a career-ending injury? We just saw Alex Smith recover from a life-threatening injury. What happens if that happened to a college player? What could that college player do if the college player is not getting paid any money? That's what the things NCAA should be thinking of. Because if anything happens to the players, they could potentially get sued. The NCAA. They shouldn't worry about getting sued and then give them money. They should do the right thing, which is paying these athletes because they go out as hard as they can, just like they would do in the pros for their fans. So with that, thanks for tuning in to episode 19. Tune in next Friday for episode 20, where some things may happen in the NBA playoffs, which I'll talk about. Definitely, actually. I'll talk about the greatest centers of all time. So, and now I'm on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, all those platforms. So make sure you go listen to it there. But tune in next Friday for episode 20.